Emma froze. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" But before they could answer, her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Her heart raced. She swiped to answer. "Hello?" she whispered. A male voice, weak, shaky, came through the line. "Emma, don't be afraid. I didn't ghost you, I couldn't walk in." Her eyes widened. "David?" The line crackled. "You met them, right?" "My girls?" "Yes, they're here with me." "Where are you?" Silence. Then, the faint sound of machines beeping in the background. "Please," the voice said, trembling. "Take care of them. Until I can explain." The call cut off. Emma stared at her phone, her pulse racing. The sound of rain outside grew louder, almost matching her heartbeat. She looked at the girls. They were staring at her quietly, as if they already knew something she didn't. Lily asked softly, "Did Daddy call?" Emma nodded slowly, voice trembling. "Yes, but he didn't say where he is," Rose whispered. "He said you'd help us." The lights flickered once, and thunder rolled in the distance. Emma took a deep breath, looked at the door one last time. Still no one there. And that's when she noticed something strange. On the napkin, where the twins had drawn, there was now a small doodle, the same one from the note. 2 hearts, the initials DW, and a small cross drawn beside it. Her fingers went cold. The twins smiled softly. "Daddy said he's sorry he's late," Lily whispered again. Music fades slowly into suspenseful tone. The screen darkens. The cafe was almost empty now. Chairs were stacked and the lights near the door were dim. Emma sat frozen, still holding her phone. The call had ended, but David's voice echoed in her mind. Weak, trembling, and full of something she couldn't name. Fear, regret, pain? She stared at the napkin on the table, the one with the 2 hearts, the initials DW, and the small cross beside them. Something about that cross bothered her. It felt like a goodbye. The twins, Lily and Rose, were still sitting quietly across from her, drawing with innocent focus, as if nothing strange had happened. Emma's heart ached watching them. How could children so young carry such calm in a moment like this? Narrator tone deepened slightly. Emma leaned forward gently. "Girls," she said softly, "your daddy called me. But I need to know where he is. Can you help me find him?" The twins looked up. Lily bit her lip, thinking hard. "He said we shouldn't tell anyone," she whispered. Emma frowned. "Not even me?" Rose looked down at her tiny hands. "He said you'll find him when it's safe." "Safe?" Emma repeated quietly. "What does that mean, sweetheart?" Neither of them answered. Instead, Rose pulled something from her small jacket pocket. A folded piece of paper. "Daddy said to give you this if you look sad," she murmured. Emma hesitated, then carefully unfolded it. It was another note, written in the same trembling handwriting. "Emma, if you're reading this, it means I couldn't come. Please trust the girls. They'll lead you where I couldn't. D." Her throat went dry. She read the message twice, then 3 times, trying to make sense of it. Soft tension music built slightly. The waiter approached politely. "Miss, we're closing now." Emma blinked, pulling herself back to reality. "Oh, right, sorry, we're leaving." She turned to the girls. "Come on, let's get you home." Rose tilted her head. "Can we go to Daddy now?" Emma paused. "Do you know where he is?" Lily pointed toward the window where the rain had softened to a drizzle. "He said we should go where the lights never sleep." Emma frowned. "Lights that never sleep?" Rose nodded seriously. "That's what Daddy said." "We don't know what it means," Emma thought for a moment. Then it hit her. The city hospital. It was known for its bright lights that stayed on all night, visible from miles away. Her pulse quickened. Could that be what David meant? Outside, the rain had stopped. The city streets glowed under wet reflections of neon signs. Emma held both girls' hands as they walked down the sidewalk. She didn't know what she was doing. A stranger walking into the night with 2 children she'd just met. But deep inside, something told her this was the right thing. The twins trusted her completely, walking beside her without fear. That trust made her even more determined to find the truth. When they reached her car, Emma opened the back door. "Seatbelts, okay?" she said gently. The girls nodded, giggling as they climbed in. Once she started the engine, the twins began to hum a quiet tune together. It sounded familiar, like a lullaby. "Where did you learn that song?" Emma asked. "Daddy sings it when we're scared," Lily said softly. "He says it keeps bad dreams away," Emma smiled faintly. "It's a beautiful song." Her chest tightened as she drove toward the hospital. The streets blurred by, and her thoughts kept circling the same questions. Who was David, really? Why was he hiding? And what if she was walking into something she didn't understand? When they reached the hospital, Emma parked under the flickering light of the emergency sign. She turned to the girls. "Wait here for a minute, okay? I'll ask about your dad." Lily and Rose nodded quietly, holding hands in the back seat. Inside, the hospital was calm but cold, the kind of quiet that hummed with machines and soft footsteps. She walked up to the front desk. A nurse looked up, polite but tired. "Good evening. How can I help you?" Emma hesitated. "I'm looking for someone named David Williams. He might be a patient here." The nurse typed something on her computer. "Do you know his age?" "Mid-30s, maybe." "I'm not sure." The nurse frowned slightly. "There is a David Williams, admitted 2 days ago. Ward 6B. Emma's heart jumped. "Can I see him?" The nurse hesitated. "Are you family?" Emma opened her mouth, then paused. How could she explain? I'm a friend," she said finally. The nurse gave a small nod. "All right, but please keep it brief." "He's not in good condition." Soft, emotional piano resumes. Emma's breath caught. "Not in good condition?" She repeated. The nurse lowered her voice. "He had an accident. He's been in and out of consciousness." Emma's chest tightened. It all made sense now. The call, the weak voice, the fear. He wasn't avoiding her. He was in pain. She hurried back to the car and opened the door. "Girls, I think I found your daddy." Their eyes lit up instantly. "Really?" Rose asked, hope filling her voice. Emma nodded. "Come on, let's go see him." The twins held her hands tightly as they entered the hospital. Their small shoes squeaked against the clean floor. As they walked down the long hallway of Ward 6B, Emma felt her heart race faster. Each step made her more nervous. She was about to meet the man who had changed her nights with messages, and now had turned her world upside down. They reached a door at the end of the hall. Through the small glass window she saw a man lying still, pale under the white sheets. Machines beeped softly beside him. It was David. Music softens into sadness. His hair was messy, and his face looked tired, but even through the exhaustion, she recognized him. The smile from his profile picture, the eyes she'd imagined while reading his messages. Her heart sank. She never expected their first meeting to be like this. The twins let go of her hands and ran to the bed. "Daddy!" they whispered loudly, standing on their toes. David's eyes fluttered open. He turned slowly, a weak smile forming when he saw them. "Hey, my angels." His voice cracked, then his gaze shifted to Emma. Their eyes met for the first time. For a long moment, no one spoke. There were only the soft beeps of the monitor and the faint hum of rain outside. Emma's voice trembled. "David, I didn't know." He smiled faintly. "I know, I didn't want you to." She stepped closer. "You could have told me." "I couldn't," he said, voice weak. "I didn't want you to pity me. I wanted you to see me." Before all this, tears filled her eyes. "I thought you ghosted me," she whispered. David shook his head slowly. "No. I was just late." The words hit her like a wave. She remembered the note. "Daddy's sorry he's late." The twins climbed onto the bed, hugging him carefully. He closed his eyes, smiling as he held them. For a while, no one said anything. Emma just stood there, watching them. A broken father, 2 innocent daughters, and the love that somehow held them together. Finally, David opened his eyes again, looking at her. "I was scared, Emma," he said softly. "I wanted to meet you before the surgery. I didn't want to lie, but I didn't want to scare you away either." "Surgery?" she asked. He nodded weakly. "Tomorrow. They're trying to fix my spine. I can't feel my leg anymore." Emma's eyes widened. "Oh, David," he smiled faintly. "Don't look at me like that. I've been through worse." "Worse?" He chuckled softly. Losing their mom was worse. Her heart broke again. She glanced at the twins. They were tracing patterns on his hand, trying to make him smile. "I'm sorry," Emma whispered. "Don't be," he said. "You being here means more than you think." Soft violin joins the piano music. Emma sat down quietly beside the bed. She wanted to say something. Anything. But no words felt right. He looked at her again, his eyes gentle but full of pain. "I thought maybe, if you saw the girls first, you'd see the good part of me." "I saw them," she said, smiling softly through tears. "They're beautiful. And brave." "They are their mother's strength," he whispered. Emma reached for his hand, hesitated, then held it gently. His fingers were cold. "You should rest," she said quietly. "I'll stay for a while." David smiled faintly. "Thank you." The twins curled up beside him, half asleep, their tiny hands still holding his arm. Hours passed. Nurses came and went quietly. The room was peaceful, just the sound of rain and breathing. Emma sat in the chair beside the bed, staring at the note again. "Please trust the girls. They'll lead you where I couldn't." She finally understood. The twins had been his bridge, the reason she was here. They were the message. Tears rolled down her cheeks, silent and slow. She whispered to herself, "You didn't ghost me. David, you were just fighting to come back." Music fades into gentle lullaby. The lights in the hallway dimmed as night deepened. Emma looked at the sleeping trio, David and his daughters, and smiled softly. In that quiet moment, she realized something powerful. This wasn't just a blind date anymore. This was destiny's strange way of reminding her that love doesn't always walk in perfectly dressed and on time. Sometimes it crawls through pain and still finds its way to you. She stood up, gently covering the twins with a blanket. Then she whispered to David, "Tomorrow you'll wake up, and we'll start again. Together." He didn't answer. Already asleep, peaceful at last. Emma turned off the bedside lamp, letting the moonlight fall over them. Her heart was full. Of questions, of fear, of hope, but above all, of something she hadn't felt in years. Faith. As she stepped out of the room, she glanced once more at the door. The nameplate read, "David Williams, Room 208." And beneath it, someone had taped a small paper heart, drawn by two little hands. The same doodle. Two hearts, and a cross between them. Music swells softly as screen fades to black. The morning came slowly, bringing pale sunlight through the half-open blinds. Emma hadn't slept all night. She sat in the small visitor's chair beside David's bed, watching him breathe. The twins, Lily and Rose, were curled up on the couch, wrapped in a hospital blanket, still holding each other's hands as they dreamed. They looked peaceful, untouched by the fear that had kept Emma awake. David was still resting, his face pale but calm. The surgery was only hours away now, and Emma couldn't stop thinking about his words from last night. "You'll find me when it's safe." What did he mean by safe? Safe from what? Soft emotional music continues. At 7 a.m., the nurse entered quietly, smiling when she saw Emma still there. "You didn't go home?" Emma shook her head. "I couldn't." The nurse adjusted David's IV line. "He's lucky to have you here," she said softly. "Most people give up when things get hard." Emma gave a faint smile. "I don't think he's the kind of man you give up on." The nurse smiled knowingly and left. Emma leaned closer to David, whispering, "You've hidden too much, David." "But I'll find out. I promise." A few minutes later, David stirred. His eyes fluttered open, tired but warm. "Hey," he whispered, voice rough. "You're still here," Emma smiled softly. "Where else would I go?" He chuckled weakly. "I thought you'd run away after last night." She shook her head. "I thought about it. But then I met your girls. They made sure I didn't." David's eyes softened. "They like you." They trust me, Emma said quietly. They told me something last night. Something about being safe. What did they mean, David? His smile faded slightly. He looked away, silent. Please, she whispered. Don't hide things from me now. He took a deep breath, staring at the ceiling. It's not easy to explain, Emma, but I'll try. Music lowers. Suspense tone begins softly. David's voice was slow, careful, as if each word cost him effort. 2 years ago, my wife, Clara, died in a car accident. The girls were in the back seat. They survived. Emma's heart dropped. Clara, the same name as her best friend. But she stayed quiet, letting him continue. I blamed myself, he said. I was driving that night. A drunk driver ran the light, but I never forgave myself for surviving. He paused, breathing shakily. I lost everything after that. I couldn't work, couldn't walk right for months. My leg was damaged, my spine hurt. Then I got sick, an infection that made things worse. Emma's eyes filled with tears. You went through all that alone? He nodded weakly. I didn't want people to see me like that. So I shut everyone out, even your family? Especially my family, he whispered. They thought I went crazy. Maybe I did. He turned his head slowly, looking at her. When I joined the dating app, I wasn't looking for love. I just wanted to feel human again. To talk to someone who didn't know my past. Emma bit her lip. And that's why you didn't tell me about your daughters? He nodded. I wanted to, but every time I tried, I got scared. I thought you'd walk away before we even met. She smiled faintly. You underestimated me. He chuckled softly, but his smile faded again. There's more, Emma. Something I didn't tell you. Something I didn't even tell the girls. Emma leaned forward. What is it? David hesitated. His hands trembled slightly on the bedsheet. I didn't come to the hospital just for surgery. I came here because I got a letter. A letter? He nodded. From someone I used to work with. Someone I shouldn't have trusted. Music deepened slightly. Suspense rising. Emma frowned. What kind of letter? He sighed. Before the accident, I worked for a private tech company. We developed data security systems, government-level stuff. I discovered they were selling information illegally. When I confronted them, things went bad. Emma blinked. Are you saying they threatened you? Yes, he whispered. After the accident, I thought it was over. But 2 weeks ago, I got that letter. It said they knew where my girls were. Emma froze. Oh my God! He looked at her with tired eyes. That's why I said safe. I didn't want them near me until I knew it was okay. I sent them to stay with a friend. But somehow, they found their way back. Emma's mind spun. So this wasn't just a story about illness or love. It was about danger. You should have told the police, she said quickly. I did, he said weakly. But there was no proof. They said I was paranoid. And now? He looked down. Now I'm just hoping I'm wrong. Emma felt her chest tighten. She reached out and touched his hand gently. You're not alone anymore, David. I'll help you. Whatever this is, we'll figure it out. He smiled faintly, eyes full of gratitude. You're too kind, Emma. I don't deserve that. Yes, you do, she said firmly. The twins stirred on the couch then, waking up. Daddy? Lily said sleepily. David smiled. Hey, sweetheart. Come here. The girls ran to the bed, hugging him gently. Emma watched them. The love between them was real, pure and deep. But in the back of her mind, she couldn't ignore what she'd just learned. Someone out there had hurt him. And maybe they weren't done yet. Later that morning, a doctor entered the room. Tall, gray-haired, professional. Mr. Williams, we're ready for your pre-surgery check. It will take about 20 minutes. David nodded weakly. The twins looked nervous. Daddy, will it hurt? He smiled gently. Not at all, my little flowers. It's just a small checkup. Emma knelt beside them. Let's wait here, okay? We'll be right outside. They nodded, clutching her hand. As the doctor and nurse wheeled David away, Emma felt an uneasy chill. The doctor's name tag read, Dr. R. Collins. She didn't know why, but the name sounded familiar. When David was gone, Emma took the girls to the hospital cafeteria. They shared pancakes and milk while she tried to keep her thoughts calm. "Your daddy's going to be fine," she said with a smile. Lily looked up. "You like Daddy, don't you?" Emma laughed softly. "Yes, I do," Rose giggled. "He said you'd have a smile that makes rainy days look sunny." Emma blushed. "He really said that?" Both girls nodded, grinning. Her heart warmed again. Even in pain, David still spoke about her with love. But deep down, a shadow of fear lingered. What if someone was watching them? A few minutes later, her phone buzzed. Unknown number again. She hesitated, then answered. "Hello?" A voice whispered on the other end. "You shouldn't be there." Emma's body froze. "Who is this?" "You need to take the children and leave. Now." Her throat tightened. "Who are you?" "What do you mean?" But the line went dead. She stared at her phone, hands trembling. The girls looked at her curiously. "Is Daddy calling again?" Emma forced a shaky smile. "No, sweetheart. Just a wrong number." Suspenseful strings rise slightly. Her instinct screamed that this wasn't random. Was someone following them? She stood up quickly. "Come on, girls. Let's go back to Daddy's room." They hurried through the hallway, but when they reached the door marked Room 208, it was half open. Emma pushed it gently. The bed was empty. David wasn't there. The machines were off. Her heart stopped. She rushed to the hallway. "Excuse me, where's the patient from Room 208? The nurse at the desk looked confused. "Mr. Williams? He was taken for his checkup 15 minutes ago." "No," Emma said urgently. "He's not there. The room's empty." The nurse frowned, picking up the phone. "I'll check with radiology." Seconds later, her face paled. "They said no one by that name was sent there." Emma's pulse raced. "What do you mean?" "The doctor took him himself." The nurse looked nervous. "Which doctor?" "Dr. Collins," the nurse blinked. "There's no Dr. Collins working here." Music turns darker, tense heartbeat rhythm. Emma's breath caught. She turned around, scanning the hallway. No sign of anyone. The twins clung to her arms, frightened. "Where's Daddy?" Rose whispered. Emma took a deep breath, forcing calm. "It's okay, baby. We'll find him." But her voice trembled. She walked to the elevator, asking staff after staff, but no one had seen David. It was as if he'd vanished. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from an unknown number. She opened it with shaking hands. "Stop looking, Emma. Some truth should stay hidden." Her stomach turned cold. Someone knew her name. Tense ambient sound builds. She held the twins close, whispering, "Listen to me, both of you. We have to stay together, okay?" Lily nodded, eyes wide. "Is Daddy in danger?" Emma knelt down, meeting their eyes. "I don't know, but I won't let anything happen to him or you." They nodded, tears filling their small eyes. Emma took their hands and led them toward the emergency exit. She needed to get them out of the hospital, somewhere safe. As they stepped into the stairwell, her phone buzzed again. A new message. "If you want answers, go to the place where he met her last." Emma frowned. Met who? Then she remembered what David said about his wife, Clara. She died in a car accident. The place where he met her last. The old bridge outside the city. Music turns emotional, plots tense mix. Emma's heart pounded. She looked at the twins. "Girls, do you know a place called Riverwood Bridge?" They nodded slowly. "That's where Daddy takes flowers every month." Her throat tightened. That was it. Whoever took David, or whatever he was hiding, was connected to that bridge. She took a deep breath. "Okay, we're going there." The twins looked scared, but they trusted her completely. Emma held their hands tightly as they walked into the gray morning light, unaware that someone was watching from across the street, a man in a dark coat holding a phone. He spoke softly into it. "They're moving, just like he said." Music fades to haunting piano. The morning sky was gray, covered with thick clouds that threatened rain. Emma gripped the steering wheel tightly as the car rolled down the empty road toward Riverwood Bridge. The twins sat in the back seat, quiet and wide-eyed. They could feel the tension in the air. Every few minutes, Emma looked into the rearview mirror, checking if someone was following. Each car that appeared behind her made her heart race until it passed by and disappeared into the mist. The phone on the passenger seat remained silent. No new messages, but the last one still echoed in her mind. If you want answers, go to the place where he met her last, the place where David met Clara, his late wife, and maybe the place where everything began to fall apart. Music fades lower, narration tone deepens. The car finally slowed near the bridge, an old, steel structure crossing a river that shimmered with cold gray light. The air was damp, the wind carrying the scent of rain and rust. Emma stepped out, pulling her coat tighter. The girls followed, holding hands. Lily whispered, "It's cold, Miss Emma." Emma smiled gently. "I know, sweetheart. Stay close to me." They walked slowly toward the center of the bridge. The wood creaked under their feet. In the distance, Emma saw a bouquet of white flowers lying on the railing. Fresh ones, just placed there. She frowned. "Someone's been here." The twins looked too. "Daddy always puts flowers there for Mommy," Rose said softly. "But we haven't been here in a month." Emma's pulse quickened. If David hadn't been here, then who had left those flowers? Soft suspense tone starts building. As Emma approached the flowers, she noticed something else. A folded paper under the bouquet, held down by a small stone. She picked it up carefully. It was a letter. Written in a trembling hand, she opened it. The first words made her breath catch. "Emma, if you're reading this, it means they've found me." Her eyes widened. It was from David. "I didn't disappear. I was taken. The man pretending to be my doctor works for the same people I once exposed. They've come back for what I have, something that could destroy them. I never meant for you to be part of this. Take the girls and leave the city. Don't trust anyone." Emma's hands shook. She continued reading. "If anything happens to me, there's a small box hidden in my house, under the old piano in the living room. The box holds the truth. It has everything." Her heart pounded. "You were never supposed to find out this way, Emma, but you deserve the truth. And maybe a chance to forgive me." The letter ended with a small line that made tears roll down her face. "Tell the girls I love them. Always." Emotional piano plays. Emma pressed the letter to her chest, eyes wet. The twins stood silently, watching her. Lily spoke softly. "Is Daddy okay?" Emma turned, forcing a small smile. "He's trying to be, but we have to help him now." Rose frowned. "How?" Emma wiped her tears and knelt down. "By being brave, just like he would want." They both nodded slowly. But deep inside, Emma felt fear growing. The men who took David, what did they want? And what was inside that box? Tone shifts slightly. Suspense increases again. Suddenly, a sound broke the silence. A car engine in the distance. Emma turned sharply. A black SUV was approaching slowly across the bridge. Her instinct screamed danger. "Girls, get in the car," she said quickly. They obeyed instantly, running back toward her small sedan. The SUV stopped halfway across the bridge, blocking their exit. A man stepped out, tall, wearing a long, dark coat. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "Miss Emma," he said with a polite tone. "You shouldn't be here." Emma's stomach tightened. "Who are you?" He smiled slightly. "Someone who's been looking for you." She took a step back. "Where is David?" He raised his hand, showing a phone. A video began to play. David, tied to a chair in a dimly lit room, breathing heavily. "Emma, do what they say," his voice whispered from the phone. "Please, just do what they say." Her eyes filled with tears. "What do you want from me?" The man's tone stayed calm. "The box. Bring it to us and everyone stays safe." Emma's mind spun. "I don't have it." He tilted his head. "Not yet. But you will." Low, tense background hum rises. He took a step closer. "Go home, Miss Emma, find the box. Someone will contact you when it's time." She clenched her fists. "If you hurt him," he interrupted with a cold smile. "You have my word. We don't hurt people who cooperate." Then he turned back toward the SUV, climbed in, and drove off, the sound of tires fading into the fog. Emma stood frozen for a moment, her heartbeat pounding in her ears. Then she ran to the car, breath shaking. The twins were crying softly. Who was that man? Emma didn't answer. She started the car. "We're going home," she said, voice trembling. "We'll get Daddy back. I promise." Soft, emotional music returns. The drive back felt endless. Rain began to fall, tapping softly on the windshield like whispers of warning. By the time they reached David's house, it was dark and quiet. The girls went straight to their room, exhausted and scared. Emma stood alone in the living room, staring at the old piano near the window. It was covered in dust, untouched for months. She knelt beside it, pulling away the carpet beneath. Her fingers found a loose floorboard. She lifted it slowly, and there it was, a small metal box, gray and heavy. She placed it on the piano bench, heart racing. There was a small keyhole, but no key. Emma looked around the room, searching. She checked drawers, the bookshelf, even behind picture frames. Nothing. Finally, she opened one of the drawers under the piano. Inside was a folded note. Her heart skipped. "For Emma, when the time comes, you'll know what to do." No key. Just words. She sighed, sitting on the floor, exhausted. Why would David leave this for her? What was inside that was so dangerous? She wanted to open it, but something told her to wait. Soft knock sound in the background. Suddenly, there was a knock at the front door. Her heart jumped. She looked through the peephole. No one there. She hesitated, then opened it slightly. On the porch was a small envelope. No name. No return address. She picked it up carefully and stepped back inside before locking the door again. The envelope felt thick. She opened it slowly. Inside were 3 photographs. The first one was David, tied to a chair, the same image she saw earlier. The second was Emma herself, sitting in the hospital cafeteria with the twins. And the third one, her house taken from across the street. Her hands trembled. Someone was watching them. And then she saw a short message written in red ink on the back of the last photo. "You have 24 hours." Music darkens. Deep heartbeat sound in background. Emma dropped the photos on the table, breathing hard. Whoever these people were, they knew everything. Where she lived, where she went, who she was with. Tears filled her eyes, but she fought them back. She looked at the piano, at the hidden box, and whispered, "I don't care who they are. I'm not giving up on him." She grabbed her phone and dialed the only person she could think of. Detective Mark Lewis, her late friend Clara's brother. When he answered, she spoke fast, voice shaking. "Mark, it's Emma. I need help. It's about David." There was silence for a moment on the other end. Then Mark's voice came, low and serious. "I was hoping you'd call, because there's something you don't know about David Williams." Emma froze. "What do you mean?" Mark sighed. "Before Clara died, she told me David wasn't who he said he was." Emma's heart dropped. "What?" But before she could ask anything else, a loud noise came from the backyard. Glass shattering. Emma turned sharply toward the sound, her heart thundering. She whispered, "The girls." She ran toward their room, but what she saw made her stop cold. The window was open. The curtain was blowing in the wind, and the twins were gone. The house was silent. Too silent. Emma stood frozen in the doorway of the twins' room, staring at the open window. The curtains blew softly in the cold night air. The small beds were empty. The blanket on the floor. Her heart stopped. "Lily! Rose!" She screamed, running to the window. The backyard was dark, empty, only the sound of the wind through the trees. Her voice cracked as she called again, "Girls! Where are you?" No answer. Her knees went weak. Tears burned her eyes. For a moment, everything inside her went still. Her fear, her heartbeat, even her breath. Then she moved. Fast. She grabbed her phone and dialed 911 with trembling hands. "Police emergency," a voice answered. My twin girls. They're gone! Someone took them!" she cried. "Ma'am, please calm down. What's your location?" Emma gave the address quickly, pacing the room. "They came through the window. I just found out. Please hurry. Units are on the way. Stay inside. Lock all doors." But Emma didn't want to stay still. Every second that passed felt like forever. Soft, tense background builds slowly. She ran back to the living room, searching for any sign. On the floor, near the back door, she noticed muddy footprints. Small ones mixed with bigger ones. Someone had walked out, dragging them. Her chest tightened. Then she saw something else, a small envelope taped to the inside of the door. Her fingers shook as she tore it open. Inside was a folded note. "We have what matters most to him. If you want to see them again, bring the box to the old factory by the docks. Tomorrow, 11 p.m. Come alone." At the bottom, a final line was written in red. "No police, or the girls disappear forever." Emma sank to the floor, shaking. Her worst fear had become real. She whispered to herself, "They took them to get the box." Music softens. Emotional undertone begins. A few minutes later, flashing blue lights appeared outside. 2 police cars pulled up. Detective Mark Lewis stepped out, tall, dark-haired, face filled with concern. He entered quickly. "Emma, are you okay?" She turned toward him, eyes full of tears. "They took the twins, Mark. They were right here." He looked around, saw the footprints, the open window, the note. "Damn it," he muttered. They moved fast. Emma clutched the note. "They want the box, Mark. They think I have it." He frowned. "The same box David hid?" She nodded. "It's here, under the piano." He crouched down, lifting the small metal box carefully. It was cold and heavier than it looked. "Locked," he said. "Any idea what's inside?" Emma shook her head. "No, just that David said it's the truth. The reason they're after him." Mark's jaw tightened. "Then we need to open it. Now." Low suspense tone begins to rise. He pulled out a small tool from his coat pocket and began to pick the lock. Minutes passed in silence, the sound of rain hitting the windows growing louder. Finally, click. The lock opened. Emma held her breath as Mark lifted the lid. Inside were documents, a small hard drive and a few old photographs. Mark picked one up. His face hardened. What the hell? It was a photo of 3 men, standing outside a government building. One of them was David. The second man looked familiar. It was the same man from the bridge. The third wore a badge labeled Dr. Richard Collins. Emma gasped. "The fake doctor!" Mark nodded slowly. "They weren't random kidnappers, Emma. They're connected, and this file proves it." He opened one of the documents. At the top, confidential, Project Meridian. Emma frowned. "What's that?" Mark scanned the lines quickly. "It's a black project. Illegal surveillance tech. David's company was selling personal data to unknown buyers." Her eyes widened. "So that's what he tried to expose?" "Yes," Mark said quietly. "He must have copied everything before they erased the records. This drive could destroy them all." Soft music builds. Emotional tone returns. Emma sank onto the couch, overwhelmed. "So this is why they took the girls. To make him give it up." Mark nodded grimly. "Or make you bring it to them." He looked at her seriously. "They said, 'Come alone,' right?" Emma nodded. "Tomorrow at 11 p.m. The old factory near the docks." He took a deep breath. "Then we go. But you're not going alone. I'll be watching nearby." She looked at him, torn. "They said no police." "They'll hurt the girls." Mark's voice softened. "I won't interfere. I'll just keep you safe. And make sure they don't disappear again." She nodded slowly, tears in her eyes. "Thank you." Rain outside intensifies. Soft thunder in distance. Later that night, Emma sat alone in the dark living room. The open box lay on the table in front of her. She stared at the hard drive, wondering what secrets it really held. She picked it up, turned it over in her hands, and saw a tiny sticker on the back with one word. Clara. Her chest tightened. Clara, David's late wife, her best friend, she whispered. What were you two hiding, Clara? Her mind began to spin with questions. Had Clara known about this? Had she been part of it too, and if so, had her death really been an accident? Soft piano plays. Emotional flashback tone. Emma remembered the night she got the call 2 years ago. The night Clara died. The police said it was an accident. A drunk driver. But David had been driving. He always blamed himself. Now, for the first time, Emma wondered, was it really just an accident? Or something else entirely? She picked up another document from the box. A hospital report. It was Clara's file, but the date was strange. It wasn't the date of her death. It was 2 weeks after, and written in red ink at the bottom. Subject relocated under protective custody. Do not disclose. Emma's breath caught. Her hands trembled. Protective custody? Was Clara alive? Music shifts to slow tension. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. Emma, a voice whispered. Her heart nearly stopped. Who is this? The voice was soft, familiar. It's me, Clara. Emma froze completely. No, that's not possible. I can't talk long, the voice said urgently. They're watching. You need to listen. Don't bring the box tomorrow. They'll kill you. Tears filled Emma's eyes. Clara, you're alive? Where are you? What's happening? I can't say, Clara whispered. David never told you everything. He was protecting the girls. And you. From who? From the people behind Project Meridian, the ones who made it look like I died. Emma's voice shook. The twins. They have them. I know, Clara said, voice breaking. They're using them to get the files back. Don't give it to them, Emma. Hide it. Promise me. I can't. They'll hurt your daughters. There was silence for a second. Then Clara whispered, They're not his daughters, Emma. They're ours. Music drops to silence, then a sharp piano chord hits. Emma's breath stopped. Her mind went blank. What did you just say? She whispered, but the line went dead. She stared at her phone in shock, unable to move. Tears streamed down her face as her mind tried to process what she'd just heard. The twins weren't David's. Then who? Her thoughts broke as Mark rushed back into the room holding his phone. Emma, we just got a call. Someone saw the black SUV near the docks an hour ago. They're moving early. Emma stood, wiping her tears. Then we move now. Mark looked at her, noticed the shock on her face. What happened? You look pale. She hesitated, still dazed. Mark, Clara called me. He froze. Emma, Clara's dead. She shook her head slowly. No, she's alive, and she said the girls are hers. Mark's eyes widened. What? Before either of them could say more, headlights flashed outside, a car stopping right in front of the house. Emma's heart pounded. Mark drew his gun. Stay back, he whispered. They both watched as the car door opened, and a woman stepped out, soaked in rain, face hidden under a hood. She lifted her head slowly, and Emma's world stopped. It was Clara. Music swells, emotional suspense crescendo. The front door creaked open. Emma stood frozen in the middle of the room, staring at the figure dripping wet under the porch light. It was her. Clara, alive. Her once golden hair was shorter now, streaked with black. Her face was thinner, eyes tired, but those eyes, Emma could never forget them. The same eyes that used to smile across coffee cups. The same eyes she had cried over for 2 years. Emma's voice trembled. Clara, is it really you? Clara stepped inside, water dripping from her coat. I didn't want you to see me like this, she whispered, but I had no choice. Mark aimed his gun carefully. Don't move, we need answers first. Clara lifted her hand slowly. You'll get them. But please, close the door. They might be watching. Emma quickly shut it, locking every bolt. Her heart pounded so loud she could barely think. She turned back to Clara, still shaking. "How are you alive? They said you died. I was at your funeral." Clara looked down, her voice soft. "That wasn't me." Low background hum. Suspense rising softly. Mark frowned. "Start talking. Who's they? And what do you mean it wasn't you?" Clara took a slow breath. 2 years ago, the night of the accident, David wasn't supposed to be in that car. I was. But someone switched the plan. They needed the world to think I was dead. Emma blinked. "Why? Who would do that?" Clara's eyes glistened. "The people behind Project Meridian. I tried to expose them. I found out they were using the tech to track children, to test something darker. They came after me." Mark exchanged a sharp look with Emma. "So, they killed someone else and staged it as your death." Clara nodded. "A woman who worked for them. They burned the car, switched the records. By the time David found out, it was too late. He thought it was my body." Emma swallowed hard. "And you just disappeared?" "I had to," Clara said, tears forming. "The FBI put me in protection, but it wasn't safe. They found me again a year later, and I ran. I've been hiding ever since." Soft, emotional tone fades in, piano with wind sound. Emma slowly walked closer, tears filling her eyes. "All this time, we thought you were gone. David blamed himself every day." Clara's face broke. "I know. I saw him once, from far away. He didn't see me. I wanted to tell him the truth, but I couldn't. I thought I was keeping him safe." Emma looked down, voice shaking. "He's gone, too, Clara. He died trying to protect your daughters." Clara looked up sharply, eyes wide. "No, don't say that. Please." Emma nodded sadly. "He was killed on the bridge, saving 2 little girls." Clara covered her mouth, sobbing quietly. "My babies." Mark stepped forward gently. "The girls, they're alive, but they've been taken. The kidnappers left a message for Emma. They want the box." Clara looked at him, startled. "The box? You have it?" Emma pointed to the table. "Right there." Clara rushed to it, opening the lid with trembling hands. Inside lay the same documents, the hard drive, the photos. She touched the hard drive gently, the one labeled Clara. Her lips trembled. He kept it. He actually kept it. Soft suspense music builds slowly. Mark leaned closer. "What's on it, Clara?" She hesitated, then said quietly, "Proof of what they did, and who helped them." She looked up, her voice shaking. "The name you'll see in those files. It's someone we both trusted." Emma frowned. "Who?" Clara's eyes filled with tears. "Your boss, Emma, Mr. Turner." Emma's heart dropped. "No, that can't be. He's the one who helped me after David died. He paid for the girls' care." Clara nodded sadly. "Yes, because he wanted to keep you close. He runs the company that funds Project Meridian. He's the one who ordered my death." Emma stepped back, shocked. "You're saying Mr. Turner wanted you gone?" Clara nodded. "And now, he wants that hard drive, before the truth comes out." Soft thunder outside. Music darkened slightly. Mark rubbed his forehead. "All right, listen. If Turner is behind this, he's dangerous and well-connected. You said they have the twins. Where are they holding them?" Clara shook her head. "I don't know, but I can guess. There's an abandoned test site near the docks. That's where they ran the first Meridian trials." Emma looked at Mark. "That's where they told me to bring the box." Mark sighed. "Then it's true. They're pulling you into a trap." Clara looked desperate. "We can't wait until tomorrow. They might move the girls again." Mark nodded. Then we move tonight. Piano fades. Low ticking sound begins. Time passing. 2 hours later, the rain stopped. The night was dark, the air heavy with fog. Emma, Mark, and Clara sat in the car parked a block from the docks. The old factory loomed ahead. Tall, broken windows, faint lights glowing inside. Mark checked his gun. We go quiet. No mistakes. Emma clutched the box tightly, her knuckles white. I'm scared. Clara squeezed her hand gently. So am I. But we're not losing them again. They stepped out slowly, boots crunching against wet gravel. Every sound echoed in the empty night. As they reached the fence, Mark cut through the wire and gestured for them to follow. Inside the yard, dim lights flickered from one of the upper rooms. Clara whispered, "That's the control room. That's where they'd be." Tense background music rises, heartbeat rhythm building. They crept along the shadows, moving closer. But then, a noise. Footsteps. Mark motioned for them to hide behind a rusted truck. 2 men in black jackets walked by, carrying rifles. Emma held her breath, trying not to make a sound. One of the men paused, looking around. "Did you hear something?" The other shook his head. "Probably just the wind. Let's go." When they disappeared inside, Mark exhaled softly. "We're clear. Move." They slipped through the side door and climbed a narrow staircase. The sound of machinery hummed faintly through the walls. At the top, Clara pointed. There. Through the glass window, they saw the twins. Tied to chairs, frightened but unharmed. Emma's heart nearly burst. She whispered, "Oh my God. Lily. Rose." Clara grabbed her arm. "Wait. We can't rush in. Look." In the corner of the room stood a man. Tall, calm, hands in his pockets. Mr. Turner. Emma's heart stopped. She could barely believe her eyes. Mr. Turner looked exactly as she remembered. Gray suit, smooth voice, and that same gentle smile. Only now, it looked different. Colder. He spoke softly into a phone. "Yes, she'll come. She always does." Then he turned toward the window, as if he could see them through the glass. "Bring her in," he said. Before Emma could move, heavy hands grabbed her from behind. She screamed, but the sound was muffled by a cloth. Mark turned, aiming his gun, but 2 guards tackled him to the ground. Clara shouted, "No!" but was shoved against the wall. Within seconds, all 3 were surrounded. Soft, eerie music begins. The sound of slow breathing. Mr. Turner stepped out of the room and walked toward them slowly. "Well, well," he said calmly. "What a family reunion." Emma glared at him, struggling against the ropes. "Where are the girls?" He smiled faintly. "Safe, for now." Clara shouted, "You tried to kill me." Turner tilted his head. "Correction, I tried to erase you. There's a difference." He turned to Mark. "Detective Lewis, I expected you too. Always following the wrong trail." Mark spat. "You're going to prison for this." Turner chuckled. "Prison?" "My dear man, I built the walls you think will hold me." He leaned closer to Emma. "Now, the box." Emma glared. "You'll never get it." Turner smiled coldly. "Oh, I already have." He nodded to one of the guards and who lifted the metal box from Mark's pocket. Emma's stomach dropped. How? Turner opened it, glanced at the drive inside. "The truth," he said softly, "is a dangerous thing." He looked at Clara. "And tonight, we'll bury it again." Music builds. Tension peak. He snapped his fingers. The guards aimed their guns. Clara screamed, "No!" and lunged forward, knocking the drive from Turner's hand. It slid across the floor, right toward Emma. Emma grabbed it, hiding it under her coat as Turner turned back sharply. "Enough!" he shouted. Before anyone could move, loud sirens blared outside. Police lights flashed through the windows. Mark smirked, bleeding from his lip. "You said no one followed us." Turner's calm expression cracked for the first time. Impossible. The guards panicked. One ran to the window. In that split second, Emma turned to Clara. Go! Get the girls! Clara nodded and ran toward the control room. Mark tackled one of the guards. Gunfire echoed through the hall. Emma ran after Clara, heart racing. Inside, the twins cried out, "Mommy!" Clara's hands trembled as she untied them. "It's okay, babies. Mommy's here." Emma covered the door, shouting, "Hurry!" Outside, chaos filled the building. Sirens, shouts, running feet. Music softens, emotional and tense. Clara lifted the twins, one in each arm, tears streaming down her face. Emma opened the side door to escape, but Turner appeared in front of them, holding a gun. He pointed it at Clara. "Give me the drive." Emma froze. "Don't do this, Turner," he sneered. "You think you can save them? The world isn't built for heroes." He cocked the gun. Then, a single shot rang out. Turner stumbled back, eyes wide, and fell. Behind him stood Mark, holding his weapon steady. "Looks like the walls finally cracked," he said quietly. Music slows. Rain returned softly. Police stormed in seconds later, securing the area. Emma held the twins tight, sobbing. Clara fell to her knees beside them, hugging them close. For the first time in years, the nightmare was over. But as the camera slowly panned to the floor, the hard drive lay beside Turner's body, a red light blinking softly. Recording. The night finally began to quiet. Police cars surrounded the old factory. Paramedics treated the wounded. And for the first time in what felt like forever, the twins were safe. Emma sat on the back of the ambulance, holding Lily and Rose close. Their tiny hands clutched her shirt, refusing to let go. Clara sat beside them, still in shock. Her face was pale, eyes red from crying. But she was alive, and her daughters were breathing beside her. Detective Mark Lewis walked over, his jacket soaked with rain. He knelt down beside them. "They're safe now," he said softly. "It's over." Clara shook her head slowly. "No, Mark, it's not over. Not yet." She looked at him with tired eyes. "As long as that hard drive exists, the people behind Turner won't stop." Emma looked down at her bag, where she'd hidden the small drive after the chaos. It still blinked faintly, a red light pulsing like a heartbeat. She whispered, "Then we find out what's on it." Soft suspense hum builds under the music. An hour later, the three of them sat inside a small police tech van. The air smelled of coffee, cold metal, and rain. Mark connected the hard drive to a laptop, fingers moving carefully. "Encrypted," he muttered. Heavily, Claire leaned forward. "David always said he added a personal lock. Something only we'd understand," Mark frowned. "A password?" She nodded. "A word only he and I knew." Emma watched as Clara typed slowly on the screen. "Meridian. Access denied." She sighed. "No, that's not it." Emma thought for a moment, then said softly, "What about the girls' names?" Clara hesitated, then typed, "Lily Rose." Still nothing. Mark scratched his head. "Any other clue?" Clara bit her lip, thinking hard. Then she whispered, "He used to call me by a secret name. Something from our first trip together." Emma leaned closer. "What name?" Clara smiled faintly through her tears. "Firefly," she typed it in, and the screen flickered. Access granted. Soft, rising piano plus light electronic sound. The files began to open one by one. Documents, images, video logs. Emma leaned forward, eyes wide. "What is all this?" Mark scrolled slowly. "This is data. Thousands of patient files. Children, ages 2 to 7. Testing logs." Clara covered her mouth. "Oh my God." Emma frowned. "Testing for what?" He clicked one of the videos. On screen, a white lab appeared. Bright lights, clean walls. Children sat in small glass rooms, wires attached to their heads. Their eyes glowed faintly under the scanner. A man's voice narrated, "Subject Group Alpha continues to show increased neural syncing. Memory transfer between paired subjects successful." Emma whispered, Memory transfer? What does that mean? Clara's face went pale. It means they were trying to copy minds. Mark looked at her sharply. What are you saying? Clara pointed to the screen. They used twins, connected pairs. Their goal was to share emotions, thoughts, even pain between them. They wanted to create perfect soldiers who could think and feel as one. Emma's eyes filled with horror. And the twins? Clara nodded slowly. Lily and Rose were part of it. But I didn't know until it was too late. Dark emotional music rises. She took a shaky breath. Before they were born, David and I wanted to start a family. We couldn't have children naturally, so we joined a medical trial. Turner's company offered free treatment. We thought it was safe. Her voice cracked. They used our DNA. They cloned and enhanced it. Lily and Rose weren't just born. They were created. Emma's mouth fell open. You mean, they're not just your daughters? Clara shook her head. They're half mine, and half his design. Mark stared in disbelief. Turner used your embryos for his experiments. Clara nodded. He wanted to prove Project Meridian worked, that human emotion could be programmed. But something happened. The girls bonded differently. They started feeling things. Love, fear, guilt. Things he couldn't control, Emma whispered, so he tried to erase them. Clara nodded, tears running down her face. He wanted them gone. David stole the data, this drive, and ran. That's why they killed him. Soft silence. Then slow, heavy piano chords. Emma sat quietly, staring at the screen. It all made sense now. The mystery, the fear, the lies. She whispered, he died protecting them. And this. Mark looked at the data again. This drive could bring down more than Turner. There are government signatures here. High-level names. Clara looked up. Then we have to take it to the press. Mark shook his head. Not yet. If we go public, they'll come after the girls again. We need to hide them first. Clara turned to Emma. Can you help me? Please, I can't lose them again. Emma took her hand. Of course, Clara. You're not alone anymore. The twins stirred softly in their sleep beside them, their faces peaceful for the first time in days. Calm emotional music begins. The next morning, dawn broke through the clouds. The city felt quiet, as if holding its breath. Emma made coffee while Clara watched the twins color on the kitchen floor. The sight made her heart ache. Two little girls drawing sunshine after all the storm. Clara smiled faintly. They still don't understand what happened. Maybe that's a blessing, Emma nodded. Let them stay innocent. The world's cruel enough. Mark walked in, looking tired but alert. I spoke to the captain, he said. Turner's operation is collapsing, but someone high up ordered all the files sealed. Officially, this case doesn't exist, Clara sighed. So they're covering it again, Mark nodded. Which means you need to disappear. New names, new life. I can make that happen. Emma looked at him. What about the drive? He hesitated. I'll keep it safe until the time's right. Clara frowned. Can we trust that? Mark looked at her seriously. Do you trust me? After a pause, she nodded. I do. He smiled faintly. Then let me finish what David started. Soft, nostalgic piano plays. Later that afternoon, as the rain stopped completely, Clara stood at the window watching the twins play outside. Emma walked up beside her. Clara whispered, I still can't believe it. I was supposed to be dead, and yet, here we are, Emma smiled sadly. Maybe you came back because they still needed you. Clara turned to her, tears in her eyes. I couldn't have done this without you. Emma hugged her tightly. We're family now. No more secrets. But deep down, Emma couldn't shake a feeling that something wasn't finished. That night, after everyone fell asleep, Emma sat alone at the table. The hard drive lay in front of her. It blinked again. She frowned. That's strange. Mark took it. She picked it up, confused, and noticed a small note under it. Her hands trembled as she unfolded it. You deserve to know everything. Play Video File 9. It was in Mark's handwriting. Emma connected the drive to her laptop and clicked. File 9. The screen flickered. Then, David's face appeared. Her heart stopped. He looked older, tired but alive. His voice was calm, shaky. "If you're watching this, I'm probably gone. But there's one more truth you need to know, Emma. The twins. They're more than you think." Emma's breath caught. Clara wasn't the only one in the experiment. There was another donor. Someone with matching DNA patterns. Someone who volunteered unknowingly. He looked into the camera, eyes full of sadness. "Emma, that donor was you." Music drops. Heavy silence. Emma's hand flew to her mouth. Tears filled her eyes instantly. She whispered, "No, that can't be." David continued, "You were part of it from the start. When you joined the fertility trial for your sister, your DNA was used too. The twins aren't just Clara's daughters. They're yours," Emma gasped, shaking. She replayed the words, unable to breathe. "You're their biological mother, Emma. That's why they bonded with you. That's why they always said you felt like home." Her tears fell freely now. The screen faded to black, leaving only his final message. "Protect them, both of you, and never let them find out what they truly are." Soft piano builds to emotional ending. Emma sat there for a long time, staring at the blank screen. Her heart was breaking and healing at the same time. She whispered, "My daughters." Outside, the twins' laughter echoed faintly through the open window. Pure, innocent, unaware of the storm that had created them. Emma looked up at the night sky. "David, I promise. I'll protect them. Always." The red light on the drive blinked one last time, and then went dark. Music fades out slowly. Rain returns softly in the distance. For the first time in years, peace had returned. The city was quiet. The rain had stopped, and in a small farmhouse on the edge of town, two little girls laughed in the garden, chasing butterflies, their giggles carried by the wind. Emma watched from the porch, coffee in hand, a faint smile on her tired face. Each sound of their laughter healed a piece of her heart. Clara stepped beside her, wearing a light sweater, her eyes following her daughters. "They've been drawing nonstop since yesterday," she said softly. "I think it helps them forget." Emma nodded. "Maybe that's what we all need. A little forgetting." Clara turned toward her, her smile fading slightly. "You didn't sleep last night?" Emma looked down. "No, there was too much to think about." Clara tilted her head. "About what?" Emma hesitated, her heart heavy with the secret David had left behind, the truth she had discovered on the drive. That the twins were also hers. Soft, emotional strings rise. She wanted to tell Clara. She wanted to confess everything, but every time she imagined it, the fear, the pain, the confusion it would bring, her voice froze. She looked at the girls again. Lily was drawing a heart. Rose was coloring the sun. They looked free, innocent, loved. Emma whispered, "They look happy." Clara nodded. "Yes, that's all that matters now." For a moment, silence hung between them, gentle, peaceful. But both women felt the same question quietly burning in their hearts. What now? Music softens. A bird sings outside. Later that day, Mark arrived. His arm was bandaged from the night of the rescue, but his smile was tired and kind. He carried a small envelope in his hand. "New identities," he said. "For all of you. New names, new records. You can start anywhere you want." Clara took the envelope carefully. "Thank you, Mark, for everything," he nodded. "You don't owe me thanks. Just promise me. Keep them safe." Emma looked at him. "What about you? What will you do?" Mark sighed. "I'll keep watching. There are still others like Turner out there. The files he hid, they go deep." Clara frowned. "You mean Project Meridian isn't over?" Mark shook his head slowly. "Maybe not. But you ended one chapter of it." He looked at Emma one last time. "If you ever need me, you know where to find me." Then he smiled faintly. "And Emma, don't let guilt stop you from living. You deserve peace, too." She nodded quietly, understanding what he meant, even though he didn't know the full truth. Soft, emotional piano returns. When he left, the house fell silent again. Emma stood by the window, watching the car disappear down the dirt road. Clara walked over, holding the twins' drawings. "Look," she said with a smile. "Lily drew all of us together." Emma looked at the picture. 4 stick figures holding hands under a bright yellow sun. In big, uneven letters it read, "Mommy, Aunt Emma, Lily, Rose, forever." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "They think of us as family." Clara smiled softly. "Because we are," Emma nodded. "Yes, we are." But deep inside, her heart whispered the truth she couldn't say aloud. "They're my family in ways you'll never know." Slow breeze sound, leaves rustling outside. That evening, Clara sat at the kitchen table, sorting through papers from the envelope Mark had given her. New IDs, passports, birth certificates, a new life waiting to begin. Emma walked in quietly. Clara looked up. "He got everything ready. We just need to choose where to go." Emma smiled. "Someplace quiet, where the girls can grow without looking over their shoulders." Clara nodded. "A fresh start." She looked at Emma carefully. "Will you come with us? Will you come with us?" Emma hesitated. Her heart wanted to say yes, but she knew she couldn't stay with them forever. If the truth ever came out, if Clara ever found out about the DNA, the experiment, everything, it could destroy their fragile peace. She forced a smile. "No, you should go without me. Start clean. The girls need their mother." Clara frowned. "You are family, Emma. I can't just leave you behind." Emma placed her hand on Clara's. "You won't. You'll carry me with you." Tears filled Clara's eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. Soft, emotional strings rise again. Later that night, after the twins were asleep, Emma stepped outside. The moon shone silver over the quiet fields. She sat on the porch steps, holding the old hard drive in her hands. It was no longer blinking. Silent. Lifeless. But it held memories of everything they had fought for. And lost. She whispered, "You did it, David. They're safe now." A tear rolled down her cheek. For the first time in years, she didn't fight it. She let it fall. Then she stood, walked to the small pond behind the house and looked at her reflection. She saw a woman who had been broken and rebuilt. She whispered to the stars, "I'll protect them, no matter what it takes," and with that she threw the drive into the water. It sank slowly beneath the surface, disappearing under ripples that caught the moonlight. Music shifts. Hopeful tone begins. The next morning, a gentle warmth filled the air. The girls ran out of the house chasing the wind, laughter echoing. Clara packed the last of their bags into a small car. Emma helped her, folding the twins' drawings into an envelope. Clara looked at her one last time. "Are you sure you won't come?" Emma smiled softly. "You'll do fine." "You're stronger than you think." Clara hugged her tightly. "You're their guardian angel, Emma. I'll tell them that," Emma whispered. "Tell them I love them." Clara nodded through tears. "I will, always." The girls ran up, hugging Emma around the waist. "Bye, Aunt Emma." "We love you." Emma knelt, hugging them both close. "I love you too, my little stars." "I love you too, my little stars." They giggled and ran to the car. Clara started the engine, wiping her eyes. Emma waved as the car rolled down the dirt road, fading into the golden morning light. Soft narration tone, calm and emotional. Weeks passed. The farmhouse stayed quiet, filled only with the sound of the wind. Emma stayed there, alone but at peace. Sometimes she'd get postcards, pictures of beaches, mountains, tiny towns, always signed the same way, from the twins, with love. And sometimes late at night she would dream, dreams where David smiled, dreams where the girls laughed and ran toward her calling her Mom. In those dreams, she didn't correct them. She just held them. Music softens, building to the final emotion. One evening, as the sun set behind the fields, Emma received a small package. No name, no address, just a simple box tied with a ribbon. Inside was a drawing, Old and faded. 4 stick figures again, holding hands under the sun. Only this time the handwriting was more careful. It read, "For Mommy Emma, from your girls." Emma smiled through tears, clutching it to her chest. The secret was still hers alone, but love didn't need words. She whispered softly, "Maybe some truths are better kept by the heart." The wind blew gently through the open window, carrying the sound of children's laughter. Far away, but still near. Emma closed her eyes, letting it fill her soul.